Snowy conditions pushed a top 20 matchup back, but now we're ready for number 17 Ohio State and number 11 Towson. It's the CAA Game of the Week coming up next on Lax Sports Network.
Beautiful look, the shot, we're tied up at 8, baby!
And live from Johnny Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland, Lax Sports proud to present the CAA Game of the Week on LSN. Today we begin our season with a non-conference matchup of two ranked teams as number 17 ranked and undefeated Ohio State out of the Big Ten visits number 11 Towson, who comes in with a record of 4-1. Alongside Bugs Combs, Brendan Glass-Sheen, thanks for joining us up in the broadcast booth. Two teams right now that are inside the top 20 according to Inside Lacrosse. A big win for Towson this past Saturday over Hopkins. This has a sense of a trap game because you have such an emotional win, have to come back and play a couple days later against an undefeated team.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you have these guys sandwiched in here. You know, played Hopkins on Saturday, had a very successful team win on that day, and then you got to come back and you got to play a couple days later against a really good Ohio State game. But I know Coach Nadelin has a staff, and his staff have the team ready to play today. This
is a really fun game at the Face-Off X today. Alex Woodall is our first man to look at the Face-Off X today. He ran the table in the fourth quarter, and also for Towson, he scored a pair of goals.
Yeah, the St. Mary's Annapolis product had a great day on Saturday, probably a career day for him, not only facing off, but what he did with the ball after he faced off. He was able to have 2 goals and an assist for a career day for him, and that's what really led the Tigers, and especially when Hopkins was trying to make their runs, he was able to step in and make those plays.
The target for Towson defensively was Shaq Stanwyck of Hopkins the other day. The task today is Eric Fennell on the offensive end. He has 8 goals, 11 assists in his last 4.
Yeah, 6-game point streak for Eric Fennell. He's a big body attackman that's going to use his body. They use a lot of picks in their offense as well, just like Hopkins did on Saturday. But, you know, they're really going to look for him to be the leader of their offense and take those guys to that next level.
At the Face-Off X this year, Ohio State 61%, 98 of 160. That is ranked number 8 in the country as a team. And as for Towson, this season, 68%, 72 of 106. That's 3rd in the country. Ultimately, what is the key for Woodall and for Withers today? Withers has such an arsenal of moves, and Woodall's got a stocky build. What does it come down to, in your estimation, for today at the Face-Off X? We'll pause for the national anthem and be back. So we're set to go here at Johnny Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland. We thank you for joining us once again. This is kicking off our coverage. CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network. So, Bugs, back to what we were just discussing there about the Face-Off X. What's your key today for both Withers and Woodall?
I think it's going to be a battle. It's not going to be that initial clamp. I think it's going to be, you know, what happens after that initial clamp, and if the wings are able to help out. Both guys are very successful at the Face-Off X, so it's going to be a great battle. And usually at the Face-Off X, that's going to dictate how many possessions you're going to have, so it's an important part of the game.
Towson a big win over Hopkins, 13-8 over the number 7 Blue Jays this past Saturday, welcoming Ohio State to Johnny Unitas Stadium. The Buckeyes one spot down in this week's top 20 from 16 to 17, and this is their first test against a ranked team. The Buckeyes really have a chance to show what they're made of.
Yes, they do today, and especially this, what they have coming up in their schedule for the rest of the year. This is the big start to it. They had a nice start, 7-0. Didn't necessarily play a lot of ranked teams, but played some good teams. But this is going to be really their first test of the year, and how they can handle the situation coming in here, sitting an extra day before the game started. We'll see if that hurts them or helps them at all. And it's obviously going to be a really cold day, so that's going to play a factor in today's game.
Buckeyes with the win over Cleveland State, 12-4 this past Saturday. They also have a win at Marquette, 12-6. They beat UMass for the first time in program history, and one of 5 undefeated teams remaining in NCAA Division I lacrosse, joining Hofstra, BU, Penn State, and Rutgers. We're ready for the first face-off between Withers and Woodall. These two teams in the top 8 in the country when it comes to face-off percentage. Michael Hyland, Scott Rayburn, and Charles Baber, today's officials. Battle for the first face-off. And it's heading the Buckeyes' way. Withers off to a good start. Withers picked up 3 ground balls this past Saturday. He is now the all-time ground ball leader in Ohio State history. He passed Anthony Kelly, so now he has 239 for the year over his career. This is JT Bluebaugh looking to spin and make a move here on Goodrich.
And this will be one of the big matchups we watch today, as Ohio State dodging the short sticks of Towson. We saw how physical Towson's short sticks were last week. They caused a lot of turnovers against Hopkins, and usually you try to attack those short sticks, but I'm not sure if the Towson short sticks are the guys you want to attack on this defense right now.
Johnny Pearson aiming for an angle, has a right lane step. Miller spanks the stick down, and he's got it. So a stop for Towson defensively. On your screen, you might be seeing some snowflakes. You are not being fooled. It is snowing lightly at Johnny Unitas Stadium. These two teams were supposed to play last night at 7 o'clock. Game was rescheduled to noon today. So here's Goodrich in transition. They like him in that spot. Sean Nadelin, the 6th-year head coach, going from defense to offense. Another 4 ground ball game for Goodrich. That's happened twice now in the last 2 games. He had 4 ground balls against Hopkins.
And Goodrich and Adams were also with Woodall. They were a big difference in the Hopkins game and just their defense. And now we're going to see Towson on the offense. Same type of possessions I would imagine they want like they did against Hopkins. They were very patient with the ball and they took good shots.
Here's Drenner searching for some breathing room. Dumps it to Conan. The turnaround shot backed up by Drenner. By the way, that win for Towson over Johns Hopkins, just the 5th in program history in their 45th meeting all time. Drenner, some acceleration, spin around, shot just wide to the left side, a race for the backup.
And we're going to see that's going to be an important matchup all day is, Drenner being played by Ben Randall. See if Randall can cover him. Drenner had a lot of success last week against Hopkins, dodging, either shooting or feeding. He's a two-way threat at the attack and is definitely the leader for Coach Nadelin.
Ben Randall, a junior from Mason, Ohio, transferred from Stony Brook to join the Buckeyes. And we're heading back down the left side. It is Buckeyes possession. Oh, pardon me. It will stay with Towson. Just a couple minutes in now to the first quarter.
Big difference in the 2 first possessions we've seen so far. We saw Ohio State kind of rush the shot. They didn't even get the shot to the cage. Seeing Towson much more poised and relaxed.
Here's John Mazza with the ball. He scored a goal against Hopkins on Saturday. Ben Randall secures it for Ohio State and gets it over midfield. They're in transition as Tarafenko weaves it through the middle. Now Trey LeClaire, who's been excellent this season, he's playing midi today, can play attack and midi for head coach Nick Myers in his 9th season. Trey LeClaire had 2 goals against Cleveland State in the 12-4 win.
A lot of these pieces on Ohio State's offense are interchangeable. The attackman can play where middies play. And as you can see from that play right there, Ohio State is really going to look to use their picks to get their hands free. They have a big Canadian, presence on this team. They have a lot of Canadians, so you're going to see a lot of the pick and roll game. And unlike Hopkins did, Hopkins tried to set picks, but Hopkins never popped off the pick. It seemed like they were flopping on the pick and falling down, trying to draw a penalty instead of take advantage of the pick.
Yeah, one of Towson's keys defensively is to not get blocked out. And they know that Ohio State likes to create those double team opportunities. Draw defenders in. This is Eric Fennell, who we previewed in the Open today. Fennell from Ontario. Last 4, he's been excellent. 19 points, 8 goals, 11 assists. This is Goodrich applying pressure. Neither team has really got deep to the crease in these opening 5 minutes or so. Whistle favors Ohio State.
And you can see already how Towson's going to play the picks. They had 2 short sticks on that pick, so they actually doubled the ball there to try to get them to turn it over. They got Fennell to turn it over, but it looks like they called a hold against Towson.
Pearson, the senior captain, crashing down the left lane. Opts to weave it back around with Fennell. Ohio State emphasizing ball movement. But also want to beat the dodge. Here's a shot on goal. Miller flaps it in front. And it's gathered by Gray Bowden for Towson. Well, this is the CAA game of the week. Towson, the preseason favorite to win the conference. One more non-conference game, not an easy one. 10 days away now to take on number 1 Denver. And then the CAA slate begins. Ohio State, meanwhile, like we've told you, first real test of the year. 7 of their final 8 games, including today, against teams inside the top 15. Here's Tyler Pfister, who's a grad student from Columbus, Ohio, 2-time captain with the Buckeyes. His father played football at Ohio State back in the 80s. This is Pfister now leaving the turf. John Kelly, who's from Towson, Maryland, went to Calvert Hall High School. Here's Kelly, makes a move on Goodrich. Kelly fires, Miller deflects it, and it's smothered by the goalie.
And Miller looks like he's really seeing the ball today. He made that save, and then the save before necessarily wasn't the hardest shot in the world, but he was able to get his shoulder on it to save it. And great ride by Ohio State here to get the ball back.
Here's LeClaire. He'll slow things down for the Buckeyes. Blue Ball surveying. Overload of red jerseys on the right side is Blue Ball. Getting closer to the crease. They'll move it back out. As LeClaire will set it up. Under 8 minutes to play first quarter, still no score. These are 2 of the better defensive teams in the country when you look at goals against. Ohio State 7th in the country at 7.1 allowed per game. Towson at 8 even per game allowed. That's 14th in the NCAA. LeClaire is just a freshman. He'll get it back out to Tarafenko. Wonder when that shot clock might go on here for the Buckeyes. Blue ball's shot disrupted, and it's grabbed by Miller. We'll get to the keys of the game now for either side, Bugs. Let's take a look.
For Ohio State, it comes down to controlling Drenner and Sider. Both of those guys have had big games in the last couple weeks for Towson, and that's been important. If they can control those two guys, that'll be really helpful in the defense end. And then for Towson, just carry the momentum from Saturday into today. Having that big win against Hopkins and carrying the momentum into today, to get to 5-1 and beat Ohio State, that would be a great place for Towson.
This is truly Towson's second possession of the game, and we're almost, or more than midway through this first quarter.
And you see the second midfield out for Towson right now. And again, the ball's going to be in Drenner's stick a lot. They want Drenner to handle the ball as much as possible.
Here's Matt Wiley. Heartbeat of this Towson team. The dump pass by Robertson. Nearly turned over. It's collected by Bolowicki. Here comes Lynch. Pardon, that's Wiley once more. Robertson underneath to Drenner. Defended by Eric Evans of the Buckeyes. Drenner trying to put someone on the board, and that shot just off the left side. It is backed up by Ohio State.
And that's a great job by Ben Randall making the check on Conan there to get the ball out of bounds and get the ball back to Ohio State, because Towson was in position for the shot to be closer to the end line if the ball went out, but it never went out of bounds. And a great job by Randall just hustling to make that play to get the ball back for the Buckeyes.
Randall playing with poise early. He's been a standout defenseman. He's a junior. We told you from Mason, Ohio, attended Mason High School, was a United States Lacrosse All-American there. Well, we've got 5.5 to go in this first quarter. Neither team has put on a score just yet. Any idea what's your feeling now as to why neither team has been able to put one home?
I think that Towson's goalie's Miller's made a couple good saves. And I think on the other end, I don't think Towson's really gotten quality shots in good places yet today.
Buckley's pass gets away. It's turned over by Ohio State. There's Buckley, the freshman from Walpole, Massachusetts. Played at Xavier in high school.
And this is something Ohio State does. If you see they're in a 10-man ride, what that means is they bring their goalie out and they play an attackman. So the goal is actually empty right now if Towson wants to take a shot or find the open man. But the goal is empty, and Ohio State is in a 10-man ride.
Goodrich stuck in traffic. And it's back to the Buckeyes. Here's Pfister.
And talking to Coach Nadalin this week, this was something he was really concerned about, was Ohio State's 10-man ride and how successful it was.
LeClaire tees one up. Backed up by Buckley. Yeah, this is a historic start for Ohio State. 7-0 this year, second best start in program history, behind the 1966 team that went 14-0 that year. 7-0, first opponent, though, this season in which the opposition is ranked. Pfister has had his hands on the ball a ton so far. Fennell outlets. This is John Kelly. Towson's protection defensively outside of the box has been pretty solid so far.
It has. They've done a good job on defense. They're limiting Ohio State shots. Miller's done a great job in cage for Towson so far in the game.
That shot off the mark by Austin Shanks. He's an attackman from Whitby, Ontario. Several Canadian prospects on this Ohio State team under Nick Myers.
Yeah, Coach Myers makes it a point to get up into Canada to find players, whether it's Western Canada or Ontario. He's got great connections and finding players up there all the time.
Here's Buckley. The twist around. Denied, though, by Chad Patterson. Flag comes out. That's our first of the afternoon with under 3 to play in the first quarter. Kelly sizing up Jack Adams, who returned last game against Hopkins. He missed a game due to a lower body injury. Pfister to the left side. Another stop by Miller. Buckley falling down. It skitters in. Ohio State is on the board first.
Great possession by Ohio State. You know, they know they have the flag down. They have a free possession. They do a good job of wearing down the defense from Towson with that possession, about a 2-minute possession, you know, and then they're able to get the goal off of here. And it's really nice job right there by Buckley to find the ground ball and throw it in. You know, one of the things, you know, listening to Quinn Kessers talk about all the time is rebound goals. I was a big rebound goal guy in my career, and those are huge. So they pick up your team. Big difference. Now you're going to see Ohio State's going to go on the man up because it looks like they called a slash on Towson. So the goal counts and they go man up. If Withers can win this face-off, that puts Ohio State in a really good position right now.
For Buckley, that's his 10th of the season. And this is just our second face-off of the afternoon. Withers took the first one after a scuffle that kicked off our game today. It's Withers once more. Well, Coach Myers talking to us before the game, he's got a variety of moves. He has the ability to do so much. He can clamp, he can rake, laser, swipe. He's got the grip. He's got a series of moves that make him really tough to predict game in, game out.
And just like Hopkins last week, you know, for Towson, Ohio State is extremely successful and skilled on the man up. They're gonna be very good. Coach Myers does a great job with them, so look for them to get a good opportunity here.
Buckeyes this year on the man up, 14 for 30, a tick under 50% on the year.
And that's pretty incredible if you could be at 50% for man up. That's a great average. And that's going to make teams think about not fouling you if you're going to be at 50%.
Minute 40 to go, first quarter. Buckeyes on the board first moments ago. Freshman duo of Buckley and LeClaire playing catch. Line up, shot, score. Johnny Pearson. Jab step to his right, created some room, and Ohio State leads 2-0.
One of the things that can happen on man up is the man up was over. It went to 6-on-6. Towson did a great job of killing the penalty there. But what happens is sometimes you get mismatches or matches you don't want. And Johnny Pearson, left-handed Dodger, gets top side and then just gets his hands free and shoots the ball. And you got to know you can't let him get top side there for his left hand. You got to force him down the side. But again, that could be a matchup issue. Not ready to take that matchup, not knowing what hand he was there.
Faked out the Towson D. Pearson, his 11th of the year, second man-up goal of the season for the senior from British Columbia. He made the Big Ten preseason team this year after being voted the most improved player on Ohio State a year ago. Well, Pearson's been huge. Didn't play a ton last season. Well, he played 13 games. He scored 20 goals, but he's got more of a leadership role being a captain coming in this year. Buckeyes 2, Tigers nothing. Under a minute to go in the first quarter. And another face-off win, by the way, for Ohio State.
Yeah, they've really controlled the ball the second part of this first quarter, and that's why they're winning 2-0 is the face-off X so far, you know, as well as some really offensive play and moving the ball and getting shots on cage.
Last year when these two teams met, Towson squeaked it out in Columbus, Ohio, 10-9 in overtime. The Buckeyes won 16 of the 22 faceoffs. Towson still won the game. Somehow.
When you're a coach and you win 16-22 and you lose the game, man, that's a tough one for you.
The road team has won each of the last 2 years when these two have gone head-to-head. Blue ball was open. Shot looked like a pass. Buckley downstairs. Falls to the ground as the clock expires in the first quarter. Towson held scoreless, and Ohio State with a pair of goals, one from Buckley and one from Pearson. We'll come back for second quarter action. This is the CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network. And there's Lucas Buckley, who put Ohio State on the board first as we're at the end of the first quarter. And Ohio State leads Towson 2-0. This is the CAA Game of the Week. Alongside Bugs Combs, Brendan Glasheen with you at Johnny Unitas Stadium. Towson fortunate this is just 2-0, a quarter really dominated by Ohio State in all facets of the game.
Very fortunate. As we take a look at Buckley's goal, he does a great job, and that's one of the things I think the Tigers need a little bit more. They showed a little bit more toughness on Saturday than they are right now. They made things difficult for Hopkins, and really on the offense end, Towson's just not being successful. They have a couple unforced turnovers. They're not winning the face-off battle, so they're not having as many possessions. So they really got to value their possessions and really get something out of their possessions.
Towson was outshot, 13-4 in that first quarter by Ohio State. And the Buckeyes control yet another face-off. They won all 3 face-offs in the first quarter. They also had 6 more ground balls than Towson.
And we saw on Saturday when we were here what the face-off X can do for you as a team, not only for momentum, but for possession, for a lot of different things. And Ohio State, they've had a great first quarter so far. Going into the second quarter here now, they start with possession. Let's see what they do on offense so far.
Pearson scored a goal. He's number 30 in red. JT Bluebaugh from Ohio. Galena, Ohio. He's also a senior. They won a high school title. LeClair's dump pass to Jasinski. Turned over by Ohio State. And this is Jack Adams, the captain, one of the 2 captains for Towson. See if the Tigers can get something together here. Just 4 shots in that first quarter.
Yeah, let's see. They really need to just answer this 10-man ride here. The first time there was a turnover, here, great job by Miller finding Sider, who had the goalie on him, and that's the guy you want to throw the ball to.
Sider, a big day against Hopkins, but a turnover by Sider. 4 goals against Hopkins, but he gives it away.
And you give the ball back to Ohio State here without even really having a possession from Towson. The offense just has not looked crisp today for Towson so far.
4th turnover for the Tigers, just 1 for the Buckeyes. Well, Ohio State under Nick Myers trying to get to their 3rd NCAA tournament. They made the quarterfinals in 2013 and 2015. And back in 2013, they actually beat Towson 16-6 in the quarterfinal round. Jasinski, who's another young player, a sophomore, on the reserve attack for Ohio State. Circles it for LeClair. Still some light snow falling at Johnny Unitas Stadium. LeClair got a step, he fires, and it's wide left of Josh Miller.
Did a good job. LeClair did a good job getting inside, getting a good shot off. And on the attack right now, Ohio State has Jasinski in there for Fennell. He's probably been in there for about the last 6 or 7 minutes for Fennell. So we'll see what type of switch that was and why that switch was from Coach Myers.
Feels like Ohio State has really hunted down Miller over the course of this quarter plus this afternoon.
Yeah, and Towson, again, only down 2-0 here. They've been very lucky. 5 first quarter saves from Miller, which were big saves to keep them in the game there.
Kelly was looking for a cutter. It's LeClair trying to make something happen again. LeClair matched up with Jack Adams. Shot and a save by Miller. That time they tried to go below the waist, but he made the stop. And in transition, it's Chad Patterson for Towson. Miller scurries for it and finds Sid Ewell. Over midfield, Goodrich gets bashed into, but he's on the break. Goodrich winds up Towson still scoreless. It's backed up by Drenner.
And if Towson's able to solve the ride of Ohio State there, get the ball to the other side and get a good shot by Goodrich, very important to have a good offensive possession here from Towson.
Here's Tyler Young. The short stick. Drenner sends it around to Dylan Kinnear, who's a transfer from Ohio State. He's got the ball now, hits Lynch. They keep sweeping it. Drenner. Too much lift on that shot. But Kinnear over to back it up. Kinnear backing down on Eric Evans. He's surrounded but loses it. Ohio State is on the break. They are coming in full regard as that shot by LeClaire just off the mark. And a timeout for Towson head coach Sean Nadelin. It's been all Ohio State. That is turnover number 5 for Towson. As we take a look at what's coming on Lacrosse Sports Network, for all of the day's lacrosse news and highlights, be sure to check out Lacrosse Now. From up-to-the-minute breaking news to interviews with the sport's top players and coaches, Lacrosse Now is the go-to destination for Lax fans. Catch it daily at 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. right here on Lax Sports Network. We take a look at Ohio State. Well, they are living up to the bill today. They come in 7-0, first real test of the season against a ranked team. The rest of the way, 6 of the remaining 7 teams are ranked opponents outside of Michigan.
Now, Michigan just beat Penn the other day.
Right.
You know, so that schedule right there, and that's a huge rivalry game of Ohio State-Michigan. So, you know, their schedule is really tough coming up. It also gives them a lot of opportunities, though, in conference and out of conference to garner some big wins to get into playoffs. So be able to play a schedule like that's really, really tough. But if you can steal some of those wins, that will get you into the playoffs. I thought one of the things that hurt Ohio State last year was that loss to Towson. You know, and that really hurt them getting in that large bid.
You know, when you put it in perspective, last year, Ohio State started 5-1, but then went 2-7 over the last 9 games. 8 of their final 9 against teams in the top 20. Here you've got 7 of 8 against the top 14.
And you know what? If I'm a young man, I'm going to go to school. I want to go to the place where we're going to play a lot of ranked teams. If I can go to Ohio State, that's got a wonderful lacrosse program, a great football program, a great basketball program, a good hockey program. There's a lot to do there, and I get to play all the best teams in the country. That's great.
Big Ten is an excellent conference. Ohio State came into this one preseason tied for 4th in the Big Ten. Last year finishing 7-8, 2-3 in conference play. Here's Fennell, who's been sort of quiet so far. Towson has had no issue the last 2 games shutting down arguably the most explosive offensive player. Then again, Trey LeClaire has got a lot of good looks, and he's got 12 goals. That leads the team.
And that's what you do is, you know, if your best player, your number 1 player is not really getting it done, they're really keying on him, you got to have other options, and that's what Ohio State does. They have a lot of other options. Colin Chell's another guy that's in the crease that finishes the ball really well for them. So a lot of options and really good defense right there from Goodrich on Fennell.
Sid Ewell picks it up for Towson. Well, Sean Nadelin, who just called the timeout for Towson, he did tell us that this is our biggest challenge in terms of size that we'll face offensively. Ohio State likes to dodge. They use their bodies. That makes them a tough matchup.
They're big. They have a lot of big bodies out there, and they do a great job setting picks and using those picks and coming off them the correct way. And right now, you know, with under 9 minutes to go in the first half, you're down by 2 goals. You got to still feel pretty good because, you know, I don't think Towson's played very well at all so far today. And they're only down by 2. They have an opportunity here, get a couple good possessions, and be right in this.
Tigers have not won a face-off yet. 4-0 in favor of Ohio State. Here's Conan. By himself in the middle, loops it to Bolowicki. He's got 3 goals on the season. Bolowicki makes Evans fall down, as well as Freddie Freibach from Wilmington, Delaware. Wiley loops it to his left, Robertson. Bolowicki winds up, but it plops out, and it's secured by Wiley as that ball trickled out of bounds.
Good possession so far for the second midfield from Towson. It was a great shot by Bolowicki. Just happened to hit the crossbar, comes out about 35 yards, so it definitely had some heat on it.
Here's Drenner, hits Robertson, fires, gets plucked back out in front of the crease, but grabbed by Matt Borges of Ohio State. Pretty good look, though, for Robertson.
Yeah, and, you know, that possession right there, even though they don't score, that's Towson's best possession so far. They get 2 quality shots on the cage. Carey makes a save on one of them, the other they hit the crossbar. So, you know, between the defensive possession they just had and then the offensive possession, Towson's got to feel a little bit better that they're getting into this game now.
That was Towson's first official shot on goal of this first half. Ohio State has 9, but just 2 goals to show for it. We approach the 7-minute mark of this first half. Second quarter in Towson, Maryland. Number 11 Tigers looking for back-to-back wins over ranked teams for the first time since 2005. Lynch, the lone goal scorer today for Towson. Lynch has got it. He shoots, and a stop by Carey. What a save. Lynch tried to go down below his kneecaps. Here's Terefenko in transition for the Buckeyes. Jasinski and Buckley. Pfister one-on-one with Goodrich. Well, we told you, 2 of the better goals against teams in the country. Ohio State allows just about 7 a game. That's 7th in the nation. Towson, 8 per game. That's 14th in the country.
And Ohio State likes this matchup. They're going to let Jasinski go ahead and go back on this pole. They think his quickness is going to be able to beat the pole, and he's probably going to try and get back to his left hand here.
Bowden sizing him up with the 6'1", 210-pound frame. Shanks fighting for room. Backed up by Buckley.
And so far on this possession, Ohio State's gotten 2 quality looks, so they're doing a good job getting the looks that they need. They just need to finish them now.
Wow, very close. Shanks.
Man, that was another one from Shanks. If he changes over and puts his stick in his left hand there instead of shooting with his right, it will give him more angle to finish the ball.
Shanks, a transfer from Bellarmine of the Southern Conference. Jasinski opts to go downstairs. Shanks nearly beat Miller again, but a great play by Towson's goalie. Full extension to his right side. Under a minute to go in the first half. Don't forget to stay locked into LSN for halftime coverage back at our studios in Woburn, Massachusetts. Pfister, Kelly is jumping up and down, number 10 in red. He was wide open. Under 30 seconds. Buckley getting eyed by Chad Patterson of Towson. Here's LeClaire on Goodrich. LeClaire muscling through. Final 2 seconds. And a race for it by Jack Adams, as well as Shanks. They ran out of room. Ohio State, number 17 in the country, on top of number 11 Towson at the half. 3-1. A very low-scoring affair early.
Yeah, it was. It was, 4 goals in a half. It has to do a little bit with the weather, but I also think it has to do with little inconsistency on both ends at times of throwing the ball away on offense, and Towson having some trouble in the clearing game today.
So the Buckeyes with a 2-goal lead. Shots on goal, 10-4, advantage Ohio State. They won 5 of 6 face-offs as well in that first half. Here's some looks at recent goal here. That was Jasinski. Miller's save here moments ago.
Does a good job. Shanks tries to go with the backhand shot, and Miller just does a good job. And I'm not sure if he gets a piece of it or Shanks shoots the ball before the defenseman Chad Patterson can get there, and that's why it's wide. But a good job by Miller deflecting almost and really changing the way he was shooting the ball by diving across the cage.
Yeah, Miller had 5 saves in the first quarter, just 2 in the second quarter, and 2 of them came right there with Austin Shanks haunting him down, one of the midfielders, one of the attackmen of Ohio State. We should have Nick Myers of the Buckeyes. He's the 9th-year head coach joining us in just a moment here. Okay, Coach Myers joining us. Hey, Coach, low scoring, 3-1 lead for your guys. What did you see in that first half that was working for you guys?
Well, I mean, the conditions aren't ideal for either team, so I think that's a challenge that we're both faced with right now in the mid-20s. So the stick work is challenging, but you got 2 teams defensively that have a lot of pride. We've done a pretty good job in the riding game. I think the face-offs have been solid. We just got to do a better job of putting the ball away when we've had scoring opportunities, and I think it's a very good defense we're up against. I'd like to see us do a better job of finishing. On the defensive end, we were late to 27 for the 1 goal that we gave up.
Coach Myers, Bugs Combs here. Quick question for you. Just wondering what you're seeing with there. It looks like you made a switch there with Fennell and Jasinski, and what you're seeing.
Eric's obviously got great touch, great hands. I think he's getting challenged a little bit with the matchup and maybe overthinking it. So we went with Jack. Jack gives us a nice burst off the bench, and I thought that was a big goal. The 3rd goal, turn in the corner, what we really needed. So we got to continue to find ways to get that defense moving. They make you earn everything you get, and I'm sure you'll see Eric in the second half.
All right, Coach, we'll stay warm. Best of luck in the second half.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
The Buckeyes on top 3-1 on Towson here at Johnny Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland. We'll step aside for halftime coverage back at the LSN studios. And back at Johnny Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland, CAA Game of the Week is at the half. Towson, number 11 in the country, down to number 16, Ohio State. 3-1 alongside Bugs Combs, Brendan Glass-Sheen joining you live in the broadcast booth. Well, for Towson, Bugs, it was just they're fortunate to still be in this game. Ohio State dominated in a lot of areas in this contest.
Yeah, Ohio State just dominated the first half, whether it was at the face-off X or the offense end, the defensive end. You know, they just absolutely dominated the half, and to only be up 2 goals, Towson's got to feel good about that, but they're going to have to change their game now.
Ohio State won 5 of 6 face-offs, but they got 3 goals out of some guys you wouldn't normally see. I guess one right here is Jack Jasinski, the sophomore, getting some opportunities here.
Yeah, he did a great job getting to the cage. He gets a shot on cage. Lucas Bailey crashes the crease. He's able to pick the ground ball up and throw it away, which is a great one. And then here you have Johnny Pearson coming across the middle, gets his left hand free, sets his feet, and does a good job shooting the ball to the offside of Miller.
There's so much variety for Ohio State. Pearson's a senior, Jasinski a sophomore, Buckley, one of the freshmen. And like we just said a second ago, fortunate for this team to be in the game. Josh Miller kept him alive in net.
Yeah,
Towson.
Josh Miller making 7 first-half saves was big for Towson, especially in the first quarter. 5 in the first quarter just to keep him in the game. And it's really important for Towson to give him a little bit more support in the second half. And one of the areas I would expect them to see him give him more support is in the clearing game. You know, Ohio State has done a really good job with their ride and their 10-man ride of turning the ball over with Towson, and that's an area Towson's got to do a better job in the second half, is clearing the ball.
Like we told you, in most statistical categories, it was mostly Ohio State that dominated in that first half, 21-12 in shots. They also had 2 more ground balls. Towson forced 5 turnovers, but they turned it over 6 times. You mentioned the 7 saves. Miller had just 6 saves in the entire game against Hopkins on Saturday, but clearly the shot advantage is the most eye-opening stat. And in terms of shot on goal, 10 for Ohio State, just 4 for Towson.
Yeah, and I think early on in the first quarter, you know, Towson did a tough job of turning the ball over. So they turned the ball over a couple times that way, which was really tough. But they were able, you know, really on the defensive end to have Miller be the backbone for him, and he was the key for the first half. And they're going to need Woodall to get a little bit better at the face-off X, have the wings help out a little bit more. They want 1 for 6, which isn't going to cut it in the second half for Towson.
What needs to change offensively for the Tigers in this second half?
You know, I think they started in the second quarter. You could really see it on the Lynch goal, and just they started moving more. On Saturday against Hopkins, they did such a good job of moving with the ball and without the ball on their stick to get themselves to good sides that they haven't done that yet today.
We'll be joined now by 6th-year head coach of Towson, Sean Nadel, he's down on the sideline. Hey, Coach, hope you're staying warm, but overall, your input about the first half, you guys didn't get many face-off wins, and you were outshot. What's your adjustments going into the second half?
Played too much defense in that first half. Some of it self-inflicted with failing to clear when we made stops, and obviously not winning the face-off battle where we need to. But I'm proud of the defense for kind of digging in. Josh made a couple nice big ones there. Obviously, Ohio State wants to possess the ball. They want to try to grind us down. I don't blame them. I think in this kind of game, you got to, possession's key. So we got to do a much better job at the face-off X. We got to control the ball, getting it out of our defensive end. They 10-manned us, which we expected, and didn't do a good job against that. But I think offensively, once we get the ball, we can get some rhythm going.
No, I thought exactly what you said. It seemed like, towards the start of the second end of the quarter, you really started getting some momentum offensively. You started moving with the ball, moving off the ball, and that's what led to your guys' success with that goal from Lynch.
Yeah, that was nice. We got him moving, rotating, got a good spot for a shot and buried it. We just didn't have the ball a lot in that first quarter, especially. Second quarter got a little bit more. That's the key to the game. Got to have the ball to score and outscore your opponent.
Towson head coach Sean Nadel, thanks so much. Best of luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Tigers number 11 in the country, down 3-1 to the number 17 Ohio State Buckeyes. There's Miller, and we just hit on his impressive saves in that first half. You can't ask much more out of him, and He might, though, have to put up a similar effort to give Towson a lift and to overcome this 3-1 deficit.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have to if they can't solve the face-off X in the second half. I believe that Alex Woodall is going to come out here and have a different second half than he did the first half, and his wings are going to help him a little bit more, and that's going to lead, to what Towson can be successful with is when they have possession, they feel like they're, on the offensive end, moving the ball, moving off the ball, and then defensively, they've been pretty strong all day. The short sticks are really tough. They've caused 2 or 3 turnovers, so that's important as well.
Opening face-off of this second half, controlled by Ohio State. Frybot had it looped, and now they get it off to the right side. Carry out of the cage. Buckeyes get it over the midfield line. Second half action underway at Johnny Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland. 2 teams inside the top 20. This game was postponed from last night. 7 o'clock originally the start for last night's game, but moved to noon Eastern today. So we thank you for joining us. Trey LeClaire had some decent looks in that first half.
And what we just saw there from the Towson defense, that's much more, connection to what we saw on Saturday from those guys. Much more physical, attacking the guy with the ball, putting your hands on him. And again, we're going to see the tough ride here from Ohio State. They do a great job on the ride and see if, Towson can solve that. Coach Natalie mentioned they had some problems with that early, and it looks like they're continuing to have a little bit of problem with the ride from Ohio State.
Tyler Young twists around a defender. And now the Tigers shift into offensive mode here.
And this right here, whether they score or not, this is a really important possession for Towson to continue the momentum they started at the end of the second quarter on the offense and carry that through the rest of the game.
Mike Lynch, their only goal. He has the ball now. Young had 2 ground balls against Hopkins. Spins in traffic, sets up a shot. Backed up by the Tigers. Conan and Drenner both hanging out behind the cage. Drenner's also trying to keep alive his 18-game point streak. He spins, shot wide again.
And that's right where Drenner likes to work from. He likes to drive up that left-handed side and either beat his man top side, or if his man's playing heavy top side, he likes to turn to the outside and shoot with his right hand.
Drenner's got back-to-back 3-goal games, had 3 against UMBC, 3 against Hopkins. You hope there's no sign of letdown, but it seems like he's always on to the next play. That's what Sean Nadelin told us. Drenner, as good as it gets when it comes to a young college athlete. Another turnover, though, this one by Young.
And that was an unforced turnover on the Towson offense, just a simple exchange pass from Tyler Young to Conan, and they couldn't connect on that.
It's number 7 of the game for Towson. They had 3 in each of the first 2 quarters in the first half. Tarafenko will loop it back out to Austin Shanks. He had 5 shots in the first half. We mentioned LeClaire. He had 5 shots on goal as well. A total of 21 shots for Ohio State in the first half to Towson's 12. Jasinski, a difference maker in that first half. Jasinski, number 5 in red. Spin move by Shanks. Jasinski plowing with his feet. Pfister off to his right for Kelly. Well, and like Coach Myers told us at halftime, going to Jasinski for some more speed on the offensive side. Here's his shot. Miller leaves the crease, gets back in his house, and he picks it up for Towson. Key stop for the Tigers after the turnover.
Yeah, that's a big stop after unforced turnover on the offensive end, and I would imagine they're probably going to – I would like them to see Goodrich dodge a little here against the offensive midi from Ohio State. So you might see that here. It doesn't look like he's ready to get off the field yet, but they might take advantage of that. If not right now, they might take advantage of that at some point in the game.
At times you sense Goodrich will get it over the timeline and then sort of dance into no man's land. You're saying they should get him more involved.
Yeah, and they have a couple packages, whether it's dodging from behind or dodging from up top. It looks like they've caught him here in numbers if they want, because Ohio State was changing, but they were able to get their offensive midfielder off and get their defensive midfielder on. So we'll see if Goodrich comes off now.
He's Bugs Combs, Brendan Glasheen also alongside. Bugs was a former assistant coach with Towson in the early 2000s on the coaching staff with Sean Nadalin. We're 5 minutes into the third quarter, and Ohio State has a 2-goal lead. Bolowicki to Conan. Wiley spearing through the middle. Regathered, now Drenner surveying in front. Some protection by Randall right behind Carey.
And what we see here is Drenner has the defenseman hung up in front of the cage, so he can kind of dictate what side he wants to go to, or it gives him an opportunity to have his hands free for a minute to feed.
Drenner's still looking for an option. He might have to take this one on his own.
He's got a short stick on him, so I would imagine he's going to shoot here.
Drenner fires, and he finds the back of the net. Towson's second goal, and Drenner puts through his 13th of the season.
And that goal was set up by Towson getting Drenner's defenseman caught up in front of the cage. He couldn't play him, and so what Drenner did, he dodged, and what that gave him was a short stick. Finally, eventually plays him, and Drenner beats the short stick behind the goal, comes around, and it looks like Carey's taking the offside, so he comes back near side where he has the open shot and finishes there. That's a great job by Drenner, realizing where the goalie was, taking the offside away, and coming back near pipe and putting the ball in the goal.
Yeah, he goes to the bottom left 90. Drenner, the senior captain.
And for Towson to be able to, have those defensive stands down there, they come down, they turn the ball over, and then this time Goodrich comes down, they handle the ball, they get it into Drenner's hands, and that's who they want to have Drenner. And you see, Towson's made a little change at the face-off X. They've gone away from Woodall, and they've gone to Hyman. Connor Hyman, another transfer from Bellarmine. And he wins his first face-off, so maybe it's just a matchup, a matchup issue, and now they've found the matchup that's going to beat Withers.
Harriman is 5'9", 185 pounds.
And Towson's still having trouble with the clear. They win the face-off. They're not able to clear the ball. They give the ball back to Ohio State and create an opportunity for Ohio State.
More on Harriman, just 2 for 3 at the face-off X this year. Mentioned Woodall, 68% coming in, third in the country. Pfister getting pressured by Patterson. It will stay with the Buckeyes. 1-goal game, just a little over 8 minutes to go in the third.
And again, if you kind of look where you are for both teams, if you're Towson here, you're only down by 1 goal, 3-2. You got to feel good about where you are. You just got to really work on clearing the ball when your defense makes those stops or when you actually do win a face-off.
How about the two guys we previewed before the game have sort of been taken out? Woodall for Towson and then Fennell for Ohio State.
Yeah, I haven't seen Fennell in the game probably since I saw him a little bit in the second quarter, but about 5 minutes left to go in the first quarter is when the coach made that change and got Jasinski in the game for him, and that's really been a big move. Jasinski has a goal, but he also has, a nice move that Buckley scored because he was able to get to the goal and create the rebound.
Fennell came in his last 4 games, 19 points, 8 goals, 11 assists for undefeated 7-0 Ohio State, one of 5 teams in the country that are undefeated in Division I men's lacrosse. Pearson, one of the captains, just came up empty on that shot. Jasinski making a move on Goodrich, and Jasinski will swing it to his right and hit blue ball. Ball is loose. Gathered by Blue Ball. Colin Chell got bailed out by him. Buckley zips it now to his freshman teammate LeClaire. Under 7 to play in the third. Here's Jasinski, tried to go top shelf. Buckley out in front. Patterson leaped on it, and it's heading Towson's way.
Towson did a good job in that scrum of knocking their attackman down, and when they knocked him down from the front, what it did is it pushed him into the crease, so that's an automatic crease call. And again, it looks like you're going to see Ohio State coming out in their 10-man ride. And this is giving Towson fits the whole game. So you got to hope that maybe Adams can just run by his guy, be more athletic, or find the open guy in the middle of the field. And the goal is open.
Why does Ohio State's personnel fit the bill for going to a 10-man ride? Explain that.
They're extremely athletic, and when you have an athletic goalie as well that can get out of the cage and play here or there, he might not be the most athletic player on the team, but he's still athletic enough to be in that ride and get back in the goal when needed. That's a hard thing as a team, especially when you don't see that 10-man ride all the time. It's a hard thing to beat. You have to be very disciplined in beating it.
Yeah, Coach Nadalin referenced it when we joined him just before the start of this quarter. And he did admit it was giving us a hard time. Wind is starting to pick up here at Johnny Unitas Stadium. Snow has stopped. There was some light flurries in the first half. Mazza got pushed out. Now here's Tyler Young. Haven't seen much of Sider, Joe Sider, who had 4 goals against Hopkins Saturday. Conan dodging with that left shoulder down. Mazza almost got bailed out, but it's turned over by Towson again. 8th turnover of the contest.
And that's Ben Randall again up there making the check. He's been all over the field, running balls out behind the goal, making checks at the midfield line, clearing the ball. Great job by Ben Randall so far today on the defense end for Ohio State. And that was a good possession by Towson. I just don't know if they got the shot they were looking for, but Ohio State does a great job on the ground balls and getting the ball up to the other end.
Randall entering play today, 5 caused turnovers on the season. And that tally, by the way, is up to 9 now for Towson. Ohio State with 6 turnovers. Here's Austin Shanks. He fires. That ball spits off the ground and spills to the left side. Did Bowden beat his man? I don't think so. Oh, yes, he did.
Yeah, we couldn't tell that. I think the official was too worried about picking his hat up off the ground rather than tell us whose ball it was. But it's Towson's ball.
Hey, it's cold out there, Bugs. Give him a break, man.
We're lucky we're up here.
Today's officiating crew of this CAA versus Big Ten: Michael Hyland, Scott Rayburn, and Charles Baber.
And this is a great job by the backside official to see that play and see that push from behind and make that call. You know, that was a good job. Towson's trying to clear the ball. You know, they get the ball up. Player gets pushed from behind. You know, Sid Yule gets pushed from behind here. Good call by the official to see that on the far side. And here's Towson, you know, 3-2 game. Man up, great opportunity for them to tie the game here. You know, and if they don't tie the game on man up, the worst thing you want to do is get a turnover here. At least let's get something out of here, get some good shots, as well as possess the ball so you can have an opportunity on 6-on-6 as well.
This game has played in Ohio State style. All but one game this year, the Buckeyes have allowed 8 goals or fewer. Let's see if Towson can take advantage of this man up. Lynch had to jump to reel that one in. Gets it back. Drenner is great when he has the ball in his possession. Dylan Kinnear, a sophomore, off to his left side with 3.5 to play in the third quarter.
No, similar spot that we saw here that Drenner scored before. He had his guy hung up before he was able to get the short stick on him. Now he drives for his left hand to get a left-handed shot off.
And this time it's Eric Evans protecting Tom Carey. Before we saw Ben Randall, who's been extremely active today for Ohio State.
You know, one thing to watch here is Towson does have 4 attackmen on the field right now. So they have 2 midfielders and 4 attackmen on their man-up group. So they don't want to get caught behind the goal.
Definitely want to take advantage as Kinnear backs it up. Just over 3 minutes to play. What's the best option for Towson right now? Is it getting into Drenner and just making something happen?
I think Drenner, or I really like Mazza going behind the goal with his left hand here. He's a good-sized player. He's had a lot of success from the attack, especially early in the season. So this is a good matchup to see maybe if he can get somebody to slide to him and find the open guy.
They beat a pass left side, and Conan ties the game. Tyler Conan from Bridgewater, New Jersey, the senior, evens the score.
You know, that was a great job by Mazza starting the play. He draws the double, gets the ball to Joe Sider, and Joe Sider skips the ball to Conan. Conan attacks right away, and then he's able to get the shot off. So that was a good job. Great offense by Towson there. You know, you tie it 3-3. You hope your face-off guy can come up with a win here, and now you have an opportunity to go 4-3, you know, if you do win the face-off. But, you know, great job by Towson, not forcing on the man up. They didn't get anything. They let it come back to the 6-on-6, and Sider finds them on the skip pass.
Execution of that skip pass, huge in those man-up chances. That's Towson's 4th man-up goal of the year in 14 chances.
On that face-off, they called a violation on Connor Hyman from Towson, so it'll be Jake Withers' ball and Ohio State ball.
And Withers is back in there. Tied at 3, 2:20 left in the third quarter. Well, we told you, this is the first real test on paper for Ohio State this year. Some signature wins. They beat Marquette on the road. They beat UMass for the first time in program history. But this is their first ranked test of the season. And for Towson, trying for wins over ranked teams in consecutive games for the first time since 2005. 10 days from now, they have Denver coming to Johnny Unitas Stadium, so it would be nice to pick this one up.
Yeah, it's a long break if you lose. You know, you got to think about it for 10 days as a player. You got to listen to the coaches for 10 days to tell you how you lost. You'd rather go off on a win. And we see there where Ohio State's picking game got themselves in trouble, called an illegal screen. They were moving and gives the ball back to Towson.
Momentum for the Tigers in this third quarter. Well, both teams took the same amount of shots in the second quarter. Ohio State outshot Towson by 9.
Yeah, and it was really important in that second quarter, especially for Towson to stay in the game. You know, Ohio State's done a great job. They scored almost 3 times more goals than their opponents in the second quarter. So it was really important for Towson to stay within the frame there in that second quarter and not let it get out of hand.
Yeah, Towson has outshot Ohio State by 2 in the third frame. Under a minute to play.
And one of the big changes you're seeing out of Towson's offense is they've done a lot more of getting a short stick behind the goal, running against a short stick, trying to create matchups by picking for Drenner to try and get a short stick defenseman on him.
30 seconds left in the third.
And you got to figure Towson here, you either want to go in 3-3 or you want to go up 4-3 at the end of the quarter. Don't give Ohio State another opportunity to go down and score.
I don't think that's in the plans for Drenner. Spinning loose from Ben Randall. Drenner fires. Carey with his head on a swivel. Turning around, it's backed up by Towson. Final 8 seconds. Drenner got a step on his left. His shot once more wide. Backed up at the last second by Robertson, but we have reached the end of the third quarter at Johnny Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland. Number 17, Ohio State 3, and number 11, Towson 3. Come back for the fourth quarter. This is the CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Lax Sports Network is your home for CAA Lacrosse in 2017 with a Game of the Week schedule featuring 19 games, including both the men's and women's semifinals. On Tuesday, March 21st, LSM will be on Long Island when the Stony Brook Seawolves take on the Hofstra Pride in a matchup of the only two Division I lacrosse programs on the island. Coverage begins with the CAA pregame show at 6:30 Eastern and face-off at 7. The CAA Game of the Week only on Lax Sports Network. Alongside Bugs Combs, Brendan Glass-Sheen, welcome back. Start of the fourth quarter, tied up 3-3. A big scoring drought right now for the Buckeyes. Momentum Towson lately, it feels like.
Yeah, they haven't. Ohio State hasn't scored since 3:38 left in the second quarter. It's been about 18, 19 minutes, so it's important for them to get a goal and to get the momentum back, because you really feel like the momentum's with Towson right now, even though it is a tied game.
Harriman at the X for Towson. They take the face-off.
And that move right there has been a big move for those guys. The Towson coaching staff, that's hard to make a move going away from a guy that's 69% in Alex Woodall. But they moved to Hyman, and he's 2 for 1 on face-off so far. He's doing a good job getting the possessions for Towson.
Opening minute of the fourth quarter. Towson in the white, shooting on the left side of Johnny Unitas Stadium. That shot by Sider just blistered off the left side. Drenner collects the miss. Behind cage. Wraparound is saved by Carey. Both goalies have been stellar this afternoon.
And Carey's been really good up top and low. He's done a good job getting down to shots as well as coming across his face to make shots and saves high.
Blue Ball gets it ahead for Ohio State. Both teams, actually, ironically enough, their next game is against Denver. Ohio State has them this weekend at Ohio Stadium. That's a 5 p.m. start on Saturday. And like we told you, Towson, a long 10 days if you can't pull this one out. A 10-day layoff before number 1 Denver comes to Johnny Unitas Stadium. Fennell puts it home. After a long layoff, Eric Fennell puts Ohio State back on top.
Big goal from Ohio State. You see Eric Fennell. They get him back on the field for the start of the quarter. And it looks like what happened there is Towson got a short stick on him, short stick matchup. Fennell feels really comfortable with that matchup. And all he does is gets down the side, has his hands free, and he's able to switch from his left to his right hand. And he beats Miller to the offside high.
That ball just whistled right by the right ear of Josh Miller.
And you can see Fennell looking over to his teammates at the sideline now, getting the team fired up. He's the leader on the offense. And for him to score that go-ahead goal and then be emotional about it to get the rest of the team going, that's really important. He's a really good story. U.S. Lacrosse Magazine did an unbelievable article on him about a week ago. If you have a chance to take a look at that. He's overcome a lot of tough things in his life, and he's a great story. And Coach Myers says he's a no-excuse type of guy, and he goes out there and works hard every day.
That look on his eyes you referred to, the look probably on everyone's face on that field right now. Who will take control of this game? Back and forth we go. It's still very low scoring. Fennell from St. Catharines, Ontario, made the 2017 Big Ten preseason team, transferred from Adrian, a Division II program. Had a stellar year 2 years ago, had 43 points in 9 games, 31 goals.
And one of the things Coach Myers, when we were talking this week, we talked about him. When he went up to look at him, he went to look at him in an indoor game. He had a hurt knee. He was hobbling around, but he set about 30 or 40 picks, and that just really, really impressed Coach Myers, and that's what really made him want to take him and give him a chance.
Flag comes flying in. Ohio State by 1. Conan has scored a goal today for Towson. Tigers really displayed some poise in that Hopkins win Saturday. They've had to really scratch and claw today to get back in this game, but they've done just enough to make it a game. Ohio State did just retake the lead. Drenner matched up with Randall. He'll loop it outside. Sider to Bolowicki. Snares it just before it lost his hand grip. 4 minutes into the fourth. Little fake step there by Conan. Wiley hits Sider. Conan getting face time by Eric Evans. Drenner gets smothered, that double team coming. Clearly an effort to shut him down. Still have a delayed flag on the floor and a whistle from the far side.
Yep, when that play, what happened was Ohio State stepped over. Fennell was doing a great job on the ride. I just don't know if he knew that the midfield line was blue or whether it was white or not. He stepped over the midfield, realized that the flag went down, and he was already offsides. It was a good hustle on the ride. Just stepped over the midfield, and that gives Towson a great opportunity here. You know, although their man up has not been great this year, you know, like they did on the first time, they didn't necessarily score on the man up, but when it got to 6-on-6, they took advantage of it. So, and I still consider that a man up goal, even though it's not with the man up.
So technically speaking, 3 man-up goals on the year still for Towson. They've had 2 chances today. Flip to the end line. Kinnear getting some crucial minutes in this game. Kinnear just a sophomore from Alberta. Calgary, more specifically, as we've hit the 10-minute mark of the fourth quarter. Buckeyes by 1 on the Towson Tigers. All time, Ohio State leads this series 5-3. Both teams have met at least once in each of the last 2 seasons. Here's a shot by Mazza. Drifts off the left side, backed up though by Conan. We told you already, these two met in the NCAA quarterfinals back in 2013. The Buckeyes defeated the Tigers 16-6. Mazza gets a step. Drenner got cut loose. Drenner the skip move, and Conan lost sight of the ball. Carey backs it up.
And Ohio State has done a great job on Drenner all day. You know, whether it's been different defensemen, it was Randall covering him for a while, it was Evans covering for him a while. Both guys have done a good job. Where he's seen his success is when they were able to switch the short stick matchup onto him, and he would take advantage of that.
Well, like we said, I mean, coming into this one, the weather cold, the game was postponed from last night. Temperatures in the mid-20s with a slight gust of wind. This one was not going to be easy, especially with the idea you come in, you know the game's supposed to be on Tuesday night. Instead, it's on a Wednesday afternoon, a noon, matinee weekday game. A tough one to get up for. On top of it, for Towson, more specifically, beating one of your rivals in state just a couple days ago. Here's Jasinski. He's given them, the Buckeyes that is, a great spark off the bench today. Coming up on 8 minutes left in regulation. You see Fennell, he just scored the go-ahead goal. His third, potentially his third game-winning goal of the season. Nice pick by Fennell for John Kelly, and Kelly puts it through. Ohio State has its third 2-goal lead, and it comes now with 7:35 to go in regulation.
Extending that lead 2 goals here, with a little over 7.5 minutes to go in the game. That's a big play by Ohio State. Simple job. We talked about Fennell. What he's able to do is just simply set a pick. But what it really is unfortunately, Tyler Mays goes over the head to try and take the ball away from Kelly. And when he does that, what that does is it frees up some room here for Kelly to get his hands free and shoot the ball. What you like to see from a defenseman is either stay checking his bottom hand or lift on his bottom hand so he can't get that shot off.
Kelly, a native of Towson, Maryland, went to Calvert Hall High School. He's a senior for Ohio State. And you mentioned it there. You have a 6-foot guy climbing over a 5'8" guy in Tyler Mays. Climbed the ladder and put it home. 2-goal lead for Ohio State. But here's a spot where I'm sure Nick Myers, the 9th-year head coach, remembers what happened last year in overtime in Columbus. His Buckeyes had a big deficit, I should say. Towson barely held on for that win in overtime. Buckeyes are fully aware Towson can come back in this one too. They win another face-off. That was the key last year, as Ohio State won 16 of the 22 face-offs, all courtesy of Jake Withers. Here's Jasinski. Pardon, that was Blue Ball backed up by Jasinski. The last second, Sid Ewell came rushing in from behind.
Ohio State's going to be very patient on this possession. Unless they get the shot that they want right away, they're going to be patient, take some time off, make sure they're having, handling the ball the right way, getting the guys they want with the ball, and not putting them in a position where they're going to give up a break down the other end.
Here's Pearson. Wanders off the left side, right by the pipe.
No, in Ohio State, they have some big middies, and they're tough to stop.
Kidding.
Those guys coming downhill, they're tough to stop. Towson has some big short sticks, but they're not used to playing against these guys, the guys this big right now.
Well, Kelly, 6 feet, 180. Pearson, 6'4", nearly 200 pounds. Bo Laurie, a middie, 6'1", 190. Noah Best, 6'1", 190. And then Trey LeClaire, who's playing middie today, 6'2", 205.
Jasinski, he must be looking up all the time in practice.
Fennell's one hopper. Can't fall. Here's another look at it.
They seem to really like this matchup with Fennell over here, whether it's Goodrich on him or Adams. They like going to that to create, and it seems like Towson's now hedge sliding a little bit more, and Fennell's making the right move by moving the ball to the guy ahead.
Well, you called it, Bugs, taking their time, to say the least, on this offensive possession. Buckeyes by 2. But it's turned over. Nicely done. Jack Adams forces it for Towson.
Towson's able to solve the ride that time from Ohio State and get the ball up the field for a possession.
Conan out to Bolowicki. Got a step. Carry in front. Turned over. That's devastating right there for Towson.
Yeah, and Bolowicki got to the spot where he wanted to. It just looks like, the carry was there for it. Inside, it's really tough to beat a goalie high to high. Naturally, they're standing high. They're ready for the ball. You want to try, if you can, to get that ball down low inside. And again, you're going to see a possession again from Ohio State where they're going to handle the ball. They're not going to try to force anything, and see what matchups they have that they'd like to take advantage of. If I'm Ohio State, I'm going to continue that Fennell matchup on Goodrich or Adams, even though Goodrich and Adams are both very good short stick defensemen. you know, I'd like to see Fennell go up against those guys. He seems to be making the right decisions when he has it, shooting it when he should, and moving the ball forward when he needs to.
Here's Kelly on the end line. Tyler Mays putting pressure on Kelly. Miller off to his right.
Withers.
That one just got out of the way by Sid Yule. 2-goal lead for Ohio State. Another scrummish for the ball. Jasinski, 2-on-1. They put it through. LeClaire from Jasinski. And Ohio State now leads 6-3 on Towson.
And that's really fitting for Ohio State to score a goal off the ride. They've been really successful with the ride, whether it's a 10-man ride or a regular man ride all day, and they were able to create the opportunity. And then that's a really good job by the attackman, crashing the goal. Jasinski keeps his head up when he gets the ball. He finds LeClaire, and LeClaire buries it in the goal. You know, Jasinski has had a great day so far. You know, here we're going to take a look at Bolwicki up top. He's going to get the shot. He does a good job from Towson getting underneath here, getting to the front of the goal. But again, he shoots the ball high to high, and Carey just matches his stick instead of shooting the ball high to low. And Jasinski from Ohio State picks the ground ball up, crashes towards the goal, and finds LeClaire unselfish, moves the ball to the open guy who has a better shot.
LeClaire with his 13th of the season, that leads the team. So versatile for Nick Myers. He's played both attack and midi. LeClaire, just a freshman from British Columbia. He played for Team Canada at the U19 World Championships.
And Coach Myers got a good look at him when he played at that, because Coach Myers was the coach for Team USA.
That's right.
So he got a good look at see what was coming in there.
And he dominated, just didn't make the team. He had 11 goals in 6 games for Team Canada. We have under 2 minutes to play. Jasinski nearly spiked that one home. Miller just got back in there. Well, defensively, this was a game that went Ohio State's way. Still 90 seconds to go. We'll see if Towson can put a quick run together here. And Coach Sean Nadelin will take a timeout with 1:26 to play. Don't forget to check out LSN Live all season long. LSN Live, the place to hang out, have fun, and talk lacrosse. The Lax Sports Network crew delivers a fresh and entertaining take on the most interesting storylines in lacrosse. It's LSN Live, Thursday through Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, only on Lax Sports Network. With Bugs Combs, Brendan Glasheen, thanks again for joining us. This is the CAA Game of the Week. This kicks off our schedule this season. And we thank you again for joining us. A 3-goal lead for Towson. Hey, we asked, is Ohio State legit through these first 7 games? 7-0, first-ranked opponent of the season. They brought their size, they brought their dodging, they weren't afraid. They've come in, they've controlled this game pretty much top to bottom.
They have. You know, they started off right from the beginning, you know, right from the first face-off, winning that, and they've carried that throughout. They've done a great job with their ride and their 10-man ride that's given Towson a lot of trouble. And then on the defensive end, they've just been really solid. They've done their close defensemen have done a great job of really taking Drenner and Sider out of the game. And then their midfielders just aren't getting beat right now.
See what Coach Nadelin drew up in the timeout. Sider flings it to Drenner. Towson needs goals in a hurry. Conan races for the backup. Turnaround shot by Conan. And Drenner just won the race for the backup. Some great extra effort out of Matt Borges of Ohio State, going full dive. Under a minute to play. Forced turnover again by Ohio State. And Borges got his stick in there to help Carey smother it. Well, make sure you stay tuned for our post-game coverage back in the LSN studios. Ohio State in position to get a win and to go to 8-0 on the year. Another timeout, 18 seconds to go. Well, what can a win do for Ohio State?
I think it does a couple different things for you. Number one, it gives you, a really good win against a top 10, 11 opponent, and then you go, as you get ready for the remaining schedule, it gives you confidence going to Denver and Notre Dame and Penn State and Hopkins and all those other teams. But what it also does is that now it kind of gives you a little bit of a relief too going into the Big Ten, because you have a big win out of conference win. If you could get another one, this weekend against Denver and have both of those going into the conference, you're going to be really in good shape. But I think that's the difference, is this is going to give them one of those out of conference wins when it comes selection time in May. That's going to be really big for them to hang their hat on.
And a stretch of 3 of 4 on the road, and you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the current poll, the Inside Lacrosse Top 20 poll this week. Still remain Hopkins is number 14 and Towson 11. 7 of the final 8 to go in the season. Ohio State will roll out some of their backups. Bo Laurie getting a chance. Laurie has played in 6 games this year, had 3 ground balls against Cleveland State.
This is where a lot of the fast guys get in here. And this was the type of time of game I always get taken out of the game when we were winning.
Ohio State stays undefeated, improves to 8-0 and 3-0 on the road. Number 17 in the country, topping number 11 Towson. 6-3 at Johnny Unitas Stadium. Big win for the Buckeyes. They came in here, and if you wonder, right, the game was supposed to be last night, like we've been touching on. Turns into a noon game today due to the snow. If there's any team that comes into this game sleepwalking, it's the road team, right? We'll step aside and come back and have more at Johnny Unitas Stadium.